Hello and welcome to Sips by the Well. Today I have a special in-studio, in-kitchen guest. This is Shayna. Everybody say hello to Shayna. Shayna, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I love how you introduce that. My name is Shayna, and I'm here to kind of talk a little bit about how my life and how I came to Jesus. You want me just to start?
Yeah, just tell us a little bit about how you grew up.
Okay, so I grew up, my parents were separated, before, I don't even remember them being together, so I know that I was really young. Grew up with my sister. I'm the oldest. And I grew up with a mom who struggled with alcoholism, addiction issues my whole life. And so that was really hard in itself. And I don't know that I really want to go into much detail about that, but that had a lot of like trauma and hardships in itself right there.
Of course.
And so me and my sister definitely have been through a lot together. She's like
And how many years younger is she than you?
just a year and a half.
Oh, okay. So you guys are really close.
Yeah, so we're really close in age. I mean, obviously when we were kids, we didn't get along great, but you know how that is.
Yeah.
So I would tell you that, so drinking and stuff was really normal in my household. So I started drinking when I was like 10 years old. It's like younger than my daughter is now. And I drink alcoholically from the first time, blackout, the very first time I drank.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, 10 years old. Isn't that crazy? It was like I instantly had that disease where I had no control over the amount that I took in. And that's how I always drank. And it was so normal to me. I didn't even realize that it was an issue until I was 18. I remember having an epiphany one day and looking at my sister and I'm like, I don't think this is normal. I don't think moms are supposed to drink like that. She might have a problem. And my sister was like, what? It was so foreign to us because it was so normal to think that that's not how all parents are, So I partied a lot in high school, drank, dabbled in drugs, never believed in God. So I'll tell you right now that my grandma on my dad's side would try to take us to church sometimes and we'd go with her. But I had a strong disbelief in God to the point where I remember in high school, people talking about their belief in God and me making them feel stupid for it. Because I was like, you're dumb. There's no God. What are you talking about? I just thought they had no brains or no thoughts for themselves. While I was sitting there just miserable, hating life, no hope. I don't know if you can you know what I mean? There's nothing to live for.
Yeah.
Just feeling I remember sitting there being is this it? This is all life's about? Wow, this sucks. Life sucks.
I think about people that go through really dramatic things or lose a loved one and they don't believe in God. And I'm how do you even get through something like that?
Totally.
Like you said, there's nothing to cling to, no hope, no promise or of anything better than this. And it's so when you die, you just die.
That's
you know what I mean?
What's
you
the
go to
point?
sleep. Yeah, it's so what is this all for? You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel it's harder, I guess, just because I have such a strong belief in God, to not believe in God. To me, that would be worse. That,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
And I'll tell you that I was a miserable, angry person. Miserable, angry person. The only time I felt okay was when I had substances in my body from 10 on.
Wow.
And so in high school, of course, I smoked weed every day. So even when I wasn't partying on the weekends, I was always high.
Yeah.
It was the only way I could exist in my skin. And so,
So you didn't live with both of your parents, just your mom?
Just my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, she moved us away from him when we were young. And so we didn't really see him much. And it got to a point where he kind of stopped trying to see us much. But I found out later that he was going through his own struggles too. And so.
And was he an addict as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't really experience it a lot with him until actually being an adult.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I didn't have any idea because we weren't around him enough to have any idea, that what he was going through. So it wasn't until probably within the last 5 years that I actually got to experience what it looked like for him. And it was a hard one for me because I thought oh, my dad is the normal one. And it's only, and then when I found out that he was just as broken, it was devastating. I was like, man, we didn't really stand a chance. This is where we came from. But anyways, I got with my daughter's dad in high school, and he struggled with his own stuff a little bit. And like, I don't want to talk too much about his, but I will tell you that we decided to purposely have a baby when we were 20 years old.
Oh, okay.
I thought it would fix everything. I was like, he will have more hope for life, and maybe he'll get on a better track, and it'll give me something to look for, because then I'll get to be a mom. It'll fix everything.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Let's just take a moment to laugh for a second.
Right? I have the best thinking sometimes. I mean, I don't regret it though.
Oh, no.
I'll tell you that. Like, my daughter is the hugest, most amazing blessing that's ever happened in my life. I love her so much, and so
she is pretty awesome. I know her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Good.
I might be a little biased, but anyways, I got pregnant when I was 20 years old. Had her a month after my 21st birthday. And I can tell you that nothing got better at all. It was rough. It was really hard. Because then I was, living with my mom with this newborn baby. You can imagine how that was.
Oh, yeah.
And then, I was still going out and like trying to like go out and drink with my friends, and still drinking like super alcoholically. Like, I could never drink and not black out. And like was just, oh, well, I'm young. I'm just having fun. Like, that's just what people do. Because my mom used to tell me that. She's like, it's okay, honey. Like, that's just what people do.
Oh, wow.
And I'd be like, okay, so that's just how people drink.
Yeah,
okay?
you just thought it was normal.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, okay, whatever. And I thought she had a problem, but I was like, but I'm partying and young. She's the one with the problem, not me.
Yeah. Delusion.
I'm different. And anyways, Alexis's dad died. I think about a week before her first birthday.
Oh, so she was super young.
She was super young, so she doesn't remember him at all. And I'll tell you right now, that's been devastating to her still.
My daughter too.
Yeah.
She says all the time she gets angry and she's like, it's not fair. I don't have any. He was my dad, and I don't really have a lot of memories except for what you guys tell me about him. Because she was about to be 3. I mean, she remembers some things. And I think like when I show her pictures, it might like jar little memories.
Yeah.
But especially once she became a teenager, she really had a hard time with it.
Yeah, I would say Alexis started having a hard time with it. Like, the first time I remember was probably when she was about 4. And she would like notice, like, she would look out our apartment window and like notice a dad, like one of our neighbors, like would be outside playing with his kids, and she would cry. She's like, I wish I had a daddy to play with me.
Oh.
And it was like devastating for me. And like, I was in addiction then. So I would just numb the pain even more. I would see her in pain and numb myself even more,
Yeah.
It's hard to see that. And she
Hard.
still gets sad. She wants a dad,
She still, I mean, Lexi has a friend of mine that stepped up and she calls him daddy, but it just doesn't fill the hole, the void. It's not the same. Like, she'll say things like we're going to Mexico for her birthday, for her 21st. She's like, I sure wish daddy was here to go with us. Or, she'll say like, I'm not going to be able to dance with him at my wedding, Mom. Or
oh my
like
gosh,
things like that. I mean, it's like every major moment, it's like this loud echo in the background that, like yesterday we would have been married 19 years. And she came home last night. She's like, happy anniversary, Mom. And I was just like, it's just like, it's hard because like, how do you explain something that you don't understand?
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm grateful that she's had her grandparents, his parents, Brian and Tasha, have been the most amazing people. If you guys see this, I love you so much. Oh, I could cry.
They are amazing. They are awesome. Yeah. Like, I love them so much.
But so her grandpa Brian has definitely like been to that role as much as he possibly can for her, and so I think that's kept her like afloat, if you will, But anyways, that's I feel like there was a part of me that wanted to believe like, oh, maybe there is a God, maybe he took him for a reason or whatever, and then it just like that idea disappeared, and it became this like self-pity and sorrow, and so I just like would drink myself to oblivion.
And how old were you when he died?
22.
Okay.
22, I believe.
Wow,
yeah.
You're super young.
And so I just started like, it became like from partying and drinking to like having to drink every day just to like exist in life. Like, I couldn't cope anymore. It wasn't like fun. It wasn't like fun at all.
And did you work?
Oh yeah, I still worked. I would go to work still drunk.
Yeah.
from the day before. It was terrible, like I just couldn't.
So you were a functioning addict.
I don't know about that. If you ask any of my,
She's almost slightly functioning.
if you ask any of my past coworkers and bosses, they might not think so much of that. I'm like,
They kept you employed.
Barely skated by. Lost 2 jobs. But needless to say, like it obviously like escalated from drinking, and then drinking turned into drug use, because I tried to like control my drinking with using drugs, because quitting wasn't the option. It was like using other substances obviously was like the magic formula,
We have to add a little side of this.
right? And so like
This will keep me awake, and it will keep me a little soberer. Yeah.
So that's what a friend at the bar said to me one night. She's like, Shayna, I noticed that you black out every time you drink. Like, why don't you try this? I'm like, that sounds like such a great solution. And so
Great friends.
that made, well, we're sick people, right?
Yeah.
We're all just doing our best.
Yeah.
And so that obviously made things escalate a lot quickly. And like, I'm really had to work through a lot of shame I had of the kind of parent I became to Alexis. And like, it's crazy because in the moment at the time, I thought I was doing a good job, and I had no idea. I was like delusional, like so like sick in my brain, and
Well, I mean, the example, that you had as a mother, you probably were like, well, I'm doing better than that. I mean, I know that's what I always used to tell myself, like, well, I mean, at least I'm not, and it was just, but, there's just variations,
I think it's probably safe I thought the same thing, but it's safe to say that I was definitely a lot worse.
Yeah.
I feel like I definitely got to a place where it was a lot worse. And so I tried going to rehab when she's 5. Brian, her grandpa, came to my door one day and was like expressing concern. And I was like in a place where I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I need help. I'm addicted to drugs. Like, I can't do this. And so I went to rehab. And it's crazy because like I still did not want to believe in God. Like, they would bring this pastor in to read the Bible with us, and I would just roll my eyes and cringe and just be like, this is ridiculous. Why do I have to listen to this? It was disgusting to me.
Yeah.
Couldn't handle it. And I was miserable. I still wanted to use the whole time, like that obsession never left me.
And how long were you at that drug rehab?
I don't remember. I want to say maybe like around 4 months,
Okay.
give or take. Around there. I do know that when I went to leave, it was my decision to leave.
Okay.
And then the lady who was running it looked at me and she said, you are gonna relapse. Or she said something along those lines. She's like, you are not gonna stay sober. And I was so mad at her. I was like, what do you know? How dare I got this? And she could see right through it. And I didn't listen, and I left. And then I went home and felt sorry for myself. Because Brian and Tasha at the time had taken me to court to get temporary guardianship of Alexis, which I was so angry about. Now I'm like, oh, thank God, they're just trying to protect my child,
Yeah.
But at the time I was mad.
Yeah, you felt like it was an attack on you.
Yeah, but they were I would have done the same thing if I was in their shoes. Probably a lot sooner I would have tried, I mean, I'm sure they probably tried. And so, so it got really bad. Really bad. So can you imagine like being at home, losing your kids in this disease? Like, it just progressed like significantly. And like I would sit there and just be crying while using because I didn't want to do it anymore. Yeah. Like, I just couldn't stop. Like, I tried to quit on my own so many times because I wanted to be a mom to Alexis. That was all I wanted.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. I was like, all I wanted, I just wanted to be a mom to her. And like, I used to write lists all the time. Like, when I was high, I'd be like, number 1, get sober, get Alexis back. And like the get sober.
I have a plan.
I have a plan, but I couldn't do it. And so I'd just be sitting there crying, hopeless, like not being able to stop, and because I was trying to go off my own power.
Which we know never works.
Yeah, well, I didn't realize that's what the problem was.
Yeah.
I thought I was weak. There's something wrong with me,
Which brought more shame.
More shame,
which kept
and
you
guilt.
Bound up even more, and that's the enemy. He just
the
cycle.
There was one time, and I will never forget this. Alexis was probably like 5 or 6, and she was like, "Mom, I want to read you one of my journal entries." And I was like, "Okay."
Here it comes.
I was at a visit with her, right? And it said, I don't even remember the exact wordings, but the gist of it was, my dad's dead and my mom's a drug addict. And I remember,
she's so mature.
She
always has been that way.
Bless her. Oh yeah. She's I took her through so much, like, oh man. And you would think that that would be enough.
No, I mean, well, when you're hurting, you don't, you know what I mean? Like it keeps us locked in this like selfish, poor me mentality. And, like for years I made excuses. Well, my husband killed himself. Like, what do you think I'm supposed to do? You're looking at me sitting somewhere with a heroin needle hanging out my arm. It was like, okay, but you're nodding out on pills. Like, do you think
Was that different?
Yeah, it was somehow different, because it came from a doctor. You know what I mean?
I used to think like, well, I want to be a good mom. So
Yeah.
isn't that enough?
Yeah. Yeah, we judge ourselves on our intention,
not on like our actions.
Yeah,
totally. And so I went obviously left and numb to the pain even more. It wasn't until I got out of rehab and I relapsed and was out for like a couple of years. And anyways, it was terrible. Those couple of years were the worst, most miserable years. And, it got to a point where I didn't want to leave Alexis, but like, I was like, man, if I died, maybe that would be better. And like, I never did anything about it or planned to, but it was just like a thought. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't want to keep existing anymore because like life sucked so much.
The doctors always used to ask me, do you want to die? I'm like, no, I don't really want to live.
Right, exactly.
I'm like, the only thing that when I wake up, I'm like, oh, well, it's more closer to than me dying. Like, that was how I felt.
Like, if this car just comes to hit me, well,
so be it.
I'm not such
a hopeless feeling. No, but it's such a hopeless feeling. I know. Like, it's
like a deep, sucking life depression. Right. And during that time, like, I was totally the enemy. I see that now, but like, I would have dreams where I couldn't move and I was like paralyzed.
Sleep paralysis.
And something would be beating me and I could physically feel the pain in my dreams. Wow. And it used to freak me out. And it was just like, it was while I was still using, you know what I mean? Like, I would just have these dreams all the time. And anyways, I got arrested one day. Thank the Lord.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. And it's crazy to say that, like, I got arrested. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean,
because it saved my life. Who would have known that's what it took? And
him, God.
Yeah, he did.
God knew.
But I didn't.
God was like, I'm trying to shake this girl. She's just,
it's not.
Sit her down somewhere, a child, and get her attention.
Right. And so I'm so grateful for that now. And I obviously was trying to get out the whole time. I remember calling my mom, trying to manipulate her. I was like, it's so dangerous in here. I was in like El Dorado County jail. Like, there's nothing dangerous about where I was. And I was like, someone's going to hurt me.
It's so dangerous. And so how long were you there?
I was in there for 5.5 months.
Okay.
And what ended up happening was like totally God thing now is I went to church one night. Which is
just
funny.
to get out of your just self.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I'll see some boys when I go out. Yeah. That was my motivation, to see the boys walking by, because those are all the winners I should pick from right there.
Because they're way better off than I am. They have a release date.
I did not yet.
Yeah.
And so I went to. So I'm also a very codependent person. I'm in recovery for codependency right now, and I'm grateful for this, because it saved me in this moment, right? It's how I feel like it did. It was like a God-sent thing. This lady had asked me, she's like, have you given your life to Jesus? And I'm like, oh my goodness, what I get myself into, And I was like, no. And like, she's like, do you want to say a prayer with me? Do you want to? And I like felt pressure. I was like, not pressure like in a bad, but just like, I didn't want to make her feel bad. I didn't want to hurt her feelings. Like, there's people in there. And I was like, no, okay, yeah, sure, I'll say it with you, like just trying to be nice, right? Well, so I went in with this intention of like, okay, I just don't want to hurt this lady's feelings. And so I said this prayer with her, and I even went back to this home like, yeah, I like was telling one of the other girls, I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but I don't really believe in God. I didn't mean it, And it's weird because like this girl who had been nice to me the whole time that I was in there, that was like giving me candy and stuff while I was like coming down, was like, hey, I want to come down and pray with you every morning, start reading the Bible with you. And I didn't want to make her feel bad or say no, because she had been so nice to me. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure, okay. Look at me, just like a little people pleaser, not wanting to hurt people's feelings. And like, I'm so grateful for it, And so she did. And something just started transforming in me. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. I was getting really scared because the original court date My attorney told me, you're looking at 3 years in prison and a strike. And
that sounds like great news.
I was the first time I'd ever been arrested, ever been to jail. And so that was like terrifying to me. And so I was scared and hopeless. And like everyone was done with me, you know? They were like, you can sit in there. We're done. Like you are obviously not going to do any good out here. And so this girl was praying with me, reading the Bible. And then I started praying by myself. And I was like, I don't know. And it felt really weird. I was like, I feel like an insane person right now. And I will never forget. It still gives me the chills and makes me emotional. The very first moment that I felt the presence of God. And, sorry. I was sitting in my jail cell and I remember it vividly. I was sitting on the top bunk, cross-legged, praying. I was like, God, please help me. Like, if you're there, I don't know. And then I just remember having this overwhelming feeling of peace over me. And the whole time I had been there, I was just anxious, like just a ball of anxiety mess. And I felt peace. And then this like voice inside of my head told me, you're exactly where you're supposed to be.
I know.
And it was God. It was God. And in that moment, I was like, that was not me. I had never experienced peace one day in my life. Not one single day had I ever experienced that feeling of peace. I never even know what it meant to be happy because of the way I grew up and my anxiety and my everything. Like I never experienced real happiness or peace ever. And that was the first moment. And I remember like, you know, I got this bunkie who was like totally into Jesus, right? Another God thing. And she wasn't the one that was reading to me, but like I had gotten this new bunkie and she was totally into Jesus. And like, we started reading the Bible and like, I remember sitting in my top bunk and like this newfound, right? And I would be reading the Bible. Oh my gosh. Do you know that it says this in the Bible? This stuff is so cool. Like it tells you how to be a person. Like God loves us. Oh my, you're supposed to be nice to people. Like, look. She's like, this is so exciting. It was like, psh, mind blown. Yeah. Mind blown. And so it just opened up. I remember sitting there one day and being like, the obsession to use is gone. Like, I don't want to use. Who could that be but Jesus?
Yeah.
Like, no other power. I tried so hard and genuinely wanted to get sober on my own for years and couldn't do it. And this like power of Jesus, like the Holy Spirit just like filled me and just like helped me become this new person, like helped me start thinking differently. And it's just, I don't even know how to explain it, if that makes sense.
I totally understand because I get it. Like I've smoked weed every single day of my life since I was about 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I started feeling like I didn't want to smoke it anymore. And I like would smoke it and then I would go outside, smoke it, and then come back in the house and be like, why did I do that? Like I'd be in my, I don't like the way this makes me feel. Like, mm-hmm. But it was just the act of doing it, you know? And it's like, it's not even that I think weed is so bad. I'll be honest. Like, yeah. I know that there's people who use it for medical reasons, and I definitely think it's better than taking pills and things from the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, half the world's on antidepressants. So like, if you need some pot to go to bed, by all means, smoke pot. I told myself I needed it for bed. I needed it because I was anxious. I needed it to read my Bible. Like I needed it for everything. Mm-hmm. And it just like, I stopped smoking it. And now it's like, even people like I haven't seen in a while. I seen my cousin the other day and she's all, what do you mean you don't smoke weed? And I was like, I don't smoke weed anymore. She's like, yeah, right. And I'm like, no, really?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that should be a testament that God is real because I was the biggest pothead on the planet. Like I never even considered stop smoking it.
Yeah.
Because but now like I smell it and it stinks. Like I still go around people like family members and stuff that still smoke. I mean, I don't shame them or feel no type of way, but I'm just like, God, that stuff stinks. And I would be walking around smelling like it all the time. And people would tell me, I'd be like, it doesn't stink. It's fine. Like,
it smells great.
Yeah. I'm just like, I put perfume on.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you smell it? You know, like just so oblivious. And now like I have absolutely no desire. Like the other day, one of my friends, it was 420. And one of my friends like said on Facebook or something, it's 420. And I was speaking at a conference on 420. You know, it was like, oh, well, yeah. Like I definitely wasn't thinking about smoking weed that day.
Yeah.
It just is so weird how God just removes those things. And like you said, like even the want to, it just goes away.
It's gone.
It's like, wow, okay, well.
And hope.
Yeah.
I never had hope before. That was a weird one for me. I know, like, being happy was really weird for me at first. I would experience peace and happiness, and then I'd be like, this is so weird. And then I would, like, get an anxiety attack because I'm like, what is this? Like, I was so used to being miserable and anxious all the time. I mean, obviously, like, it's gotten better. But it was like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is weird.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I remember the day I was sitting here working and I was like anxious and I was like, but I had no reason to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this feeling? And I was like, oh my God, I miss drama. Like, I don't have anybody to argue with. Like you, I grew up in nothing but chaos. And then as I got older, you know, like when our minds develop in chaos, that's what we seek out. Even if we know it's wrong, we're just like, oh, this feels comfortable because that's what we're used to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like, oh my God, like I don't have anybody, nobody's arguing with me. Like I'm not stalking anybody or like, you know what I mean? Like it was a genuine, this is what this feels like.
Just to be,
Yeah, like what is this?
yeah.
Yeah, it was just so foreign to me. And this, I'll be honest, this was really like not even 2 years ago. And so it's just, I used to could not sit in silence at all. Like I always had to have music or some kind of background noise. And I remember my therapist asked me one day, why do you think that is, Janelle? And I'm like, it's just the way I am.
Yeah.
And then after that session, I came home and I'm like, why do I have to always, like it was always, I needed a distraction. Like I wasn't comfortable inside my own head. And now I find myself driving, like I'll be driving for like 30 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, I have the radio on.
I love those.
That's what I mean. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm just being quiet and I'll just be talking to God like, yeah, so I was thinking that like just having a conversation and it's just, it's amazing. Yeah. Just
No, it is. It is. And he totally gave me a life better than I could have ever imagined. Absolutely. And, you know, it's crazy. You know, I got out and like instantly sought recovery, chased after it with everything, chased after Jesus with everything inside of me. And, because I didn't want to go back to that misery.
Yeah.
I knew I was like,
no, I've tasted and seen the Lord is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be different. And man, I was so excited. I was so happy. Like I had to move back in with my mom for like a year. And I stayed sober the whole time. Never tempted. Just
Wow.
happy as can be. That was all God.
Yeah.
It was not me. And you know, it took me a couple of years to get Alexis back. And our relationship.
I was going to say, you can't even tell that your relationship.
Oh my goodness. It's taken a lot of hard work. And that's the thing is like, you get sober and you give your life to Jesus and everything's not going to be just all hunky dory. Like there is consequences to your actions that you still have to walk through. Like I had to walk through a lot of consequences and I'm grateful that God gave me those consequences because if not, then why wouldn't I keep going back to it?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And so, yeah, my daughter's the most amazing, beautiful, resilient thing I've ever.
She really is.
She's amazing. She has such a big heart and she's such a good girl. And
she's so wise among her years. She's so like
she's so sweet.
She is.
She's so like because I struggle with anxiety still. It's not as bad as it used to be, but she'll like reach out and she's like, "Are you okay, Mom?"
Aww.
It's okay. Do you need a hug? And
she's still so tender. You know what I mean? Like she's like calm.
Yeah.
And like just everything that you would want.
And silly. She's so silly. If you get to really know her, she's a goofball. And it's my favorite. Her dad was a goofball. And so I love seeing that in her. So yeah, it took a lot of years to rebuild that back up. And it was all God. You know, I just patiently waited, like let her be mad. And he gave me the strength to walk through it all. He told me when to take the steps to get custody back of her.
Yeah.
You know, because if I would have done it on my own will, it would have been like immediately. And I waited a couple of years of being sober before I.
Yeah, well, that's probably good though, because then it was not only did you show yourself, but you were able to show her.
Well, I wanted to actually be a good parent. Yeah. So like I did everything that I could to be a better person so that I could be the mom that she deserved, because that's all I ever wanted. Like my biggest goal and biggest dream of life was just to be her mom. Yeah. You know?
Look at you killing it.
I try. I don't know if I'm killing it.
Yes.
But yeah, so it was just me and her for a long time. And you know, I got married recently in January.
So exciting.
Yes, to the most amazing man that'll make me emotional too. I love him so much. He is everything that I ever prayed for. I literally, so when I first got sober, I had made this list of the qualities I wanted in a man, and I prayed for those every single day. And when me and him got together, he meets those expectations and more. Like, he's just such an amazing human being. I mean, neither of us are perfect by all means,
Of course.
but
And every relationship takes work. I mean,
oh yeah, and he loves Jesus.
that's the most important
Yes.
thing. If you didn't love Jesus, like, what are you even doing?
What are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I need Jesus just to go to work every day.
I need Jesus to get out of bed.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't want to do this today.
Seriously. And so, and the relationship that I've seen blossom between him and Alexis, like, he's known her since she was 2 because of like church and Brian and Tasha.
Oh, wow.
Since he's known her forever, right?
See, and the way God set that up to where he wasn't just some random dude coming in, you know what I mean? Because of her man hurt or her daddy wound, she probably wouldn't be open to just some guy that you met.
No, absolutely not.
Because she's super protective over you. I can see
Oh
that.
my God. So when me and him first started dating, she was mad at him. She's like, Mom, that's like my uncle. That's disgusting. I'm like, he's not actually your uncle. So she thought it was so gross that I was like dating a family member. That's how close they were. Like, how close he was to the family, And
But that's perfect, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she already knew his character. She didn't have to be like suspect of him, you know what I'm saying? Because she's already seen and how he interacts with his own kids and all of those things. So.
Absolutely. And she loves the kind of dad that he is. He's an amazing dad. He's so loving and caring and a protector and
all the things that we pray for a man to be.
oh my gosh, being patient, right? Being patient. Like, God wants us to be patient and wait for his timing. And I think it's easy for, like, especially for me, to want to rush the process or be like, God, you're taking too long for this. I'm going to take over it myself. Yeah. But I'm telling you right now that his timing is perfect.
Yeah.
He always knows what he's doing. And I just, seriously, we were in the car the other day on our way to church, and I had my sunglasses on. And I was sitting there with all 3 kids in the back and him in the front seat, and I just started crying because I was like so happy. I'm like,
aww.
God, this beautiful, amazing blessing of like having this family is like so much more than I could have thought I ever deserved like 6.5 years ago when I was sitting in jail.
Yeah. I'm so happy for you. And whenever I hear happy stories like this, it gives me hope because, like, I've been single for a really long time now, but I'm not like sad about it. Like,
Totally.
It's totally just like I'm so fulfilled in my life. You know me, I do a lot of stuff. And so I feel like you said, God's timing is everything. And I don't want anything that it's not him.
See, and that's exactly how I felt. Like I was telling you earlier, I prayed every day. I'm like, God, if this isn't meant to be, please remove him from my life immediately. No matter how bad it hurts, just remove him.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anything that's not from you.
Yeah, I don't. Like, I've already done that this many times. And I don't want it anymore. Now I only want what God wants, because now that I've seen it in every other area of my life, what he wants for us is so much better than we even know to pray for.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just waiting. I'm waiting and I'm being patient and I'm being happy for everybody else in the process.
Totally.
That's
how I felt. I didn't even want to date. Like me and Alex,
I want to go eat food.
Yeah.
That's like, I do. Well, I miss the, like, laughing. Like, I love to laugh. And so I love somebody that can make me laugh.
Alexis gives me that. So you could borrow her.
Yeah, for sure. Because I miss laughing. I don't really miss, like, intimacy. I miss, like laying in bed with your leg over somebody watching TV, or, like, little things like that are the things that I miss the most, just because, like, sometimes, like, I watch movies a lot or watch TV on Saturday night, like, and I'll cook myself a good dinner, and I'm like, God, it would be nice to have somebody to do this with. Because Lexi, my daughter, leaves a lot.
Oh,
like, she has her age. Well, and I mean, she does a lot at the church. Yeah. I mean, she's at the church Sunday almost all day because she does all 3 services. And then Monday night she does youth group. And then Wednesday night she does young adults. And then she has a boyfriend. And you know what I mean? So, like, she's gone all the time.
Yeah.
you know, and it's like last night she was here and I thought, oh, cool, she's going to hang out with me. And then she's like, Mom, I'm going to go meet up with some friends at Dutch Rose. And she didn't come back for like 3 hours. And I'm like, where were you? She's like, we were at the church just hanging out, talking in the car. And so, you know, like I don't see her a lot. And so, and it's been like with you and Alexis, it's been just us. Mm-hmm. And so like, she's been my little BFF. Mm-hmm. And so it's been an adjustment. Thank God for the cat. No, seriously, like she keeps me company. But I feel like it's important for me to just trust God in this season. And unfortunately, she saw a lot of trauma with men with me, you know, bad relationships. And so I kind of feel like when I do finally get somebody, it'll be when she's on her way out.
Well, it's going to be when you're ready, because I know for me, like I had to work on myself in my, because even when me and Alex like first got together, all of that damage from past relationships came, which I thought what I was okay with, just came bubbling back up. All these like insecurities and fears and trauma. Just, I mean, we had to work through, I mean, we still do, but it was really hard at first because I was just so damaged from past relationships. Like it was hard to believe that he didn't have some kind of like ulterior motive to being nice to me or to.
My therapist says the last time I was there, he said, Jill, what do you feel like you need to work on? I was like, well, I'll be honest, like the relationship thing. I said, but I know that there's certain things that only come up when you're in a relationship. Like I feel like I've healed from those things, but like you said, and then I get scared and I'm like, because growing up, I never had a peaceful home. Like it was always chaos. And then as I got older, like I was with men that were like alcoholic, crazy people. And so it was like, I was always walking on eggshells in every house I ever had. Mm-hmm. And like, this is my first home that like, I feel safe. Like there's no chaos here. Like Lexi and I might like have a little spat or something, but
not to the same degree.
No, like, and there's no throwing things. Yeah. There's no, like nothing gets broken. There's no holes punched in the wall. Like it's normal. And so like, I've had to express it to God. Like I'm scared to let somebody in to possibly, you know what I mean? Like threaten that peace. And, you know, God just reassures me like, no, when the right man comes, he will add more peace. Like he won't be,
just trust it.
Like he's not going to punch the walls. I promise you.
If he does,
then like he's not the one. Like, you know, but just that, like, I don't even have a lot of people come to my house just because, not because I don't want them here, but just because like, this is my sanctuary. Like I feel peace here. And so I hear you. I definitely feel like there will be issues that I'll have to work through. But again, I feel like God will send me somebody patient and somebody that will be understanding.
I will just tell you that open communication.
Yeah.
Like when you react a certain way and you don't know why you reacted that way.
Just tell.
Yeah. Like I don't know why I reacted that way. I'm going to have to really think about that. I'm going to have to get back to you. I don't know what just happened.
Can we table this and revisit it a little bit?
My crazy just came popping out.
Yeah.
But listen, for me, it's gotten better. Like yesterday, my feelings were hurt about something that had nothing to do with him. And I wanted to come home and take it out on him. Uh-huh. And I walked away and I came back and I was like, you know what? I'm really feeling sensitive right now. And whatever the situation was, like, you didn't even do anything wrong. It's a me issue. I'm sorry. And that's like growth for me because usually I'm just like.
Well, no, that again, that gives me hope. You know what I mean? To know that there are people out there.
Yeah, and Alexis loves him now. I mean, it was hard at first. She definitely was like mad at him for dating me and didn't really talk to him much. And now they are just like little bestie boo bears.
Yeah.
Have all their little inside jokes. And he matches her level of goofiness and weirdness. He matches it.
That makes me so happy for her.
Yeah, they go on like their like own little dates together. Like they'll go to Costco and Five Below and just like hang out, listen to music.
Well, he's a cool dude. You know what I'm saying?
He's like the easiest person.
Great, and he's great with kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And even with anybody, like he's just easy to get along with. Like I don't know that I've met anyone that's just like that dude. They're just always like, oh, I love Alex.
Yeah. Well, see, God's timing is everything, and he brought the right one.
Right. So. Yeah. And without Jesus, like I would not be here in any of this.
That makes me so happy for you.
Yeah.
And to just get to know you better and to hear all of this. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on this.
Of course, thank you.
Sharing this. I hope everybody has enjoyed her amazing testimony. God has been so faithful to her, even when she didn't like him.
Right?
Well, I mean, it says that he died for us when we were still sinning. And so You know, we don't really know what we need, but he always knows what we need, and he knows the perfect time.
And I think that, can I just say one more thing?
Absolutely.
I think that like anyone, if you're like struggling with the idea of God, he's okay with it.
Yep.
Still come to him. You know, still come to him with your questions or disbeliefs, or he doesn't care. Like, you don't have to come to him with this perfect knowledge of him and this perfect belief in him. He just wants you to come to him. That's it. It's really just that simple. Is that he loves you so much. Like, if you can imagine how much you might love like your siblings or your kids, or he loves you so much more than that.
I know.
So much more. Like, he did die for us.
Yeah, understanding that love is what really changed my life. It's really like, I was like, wow.
But
that's a lot.
You don't even have to understand that yet to start.
No, and like you said, he can handle your I mean, I've screamed at him.
Oh yeah.
I've like, what is this? You know, like, he can handle it all. He already knows, you know? And so I think that us asking questions probably makes him happy.
Or being mad at him.
Yeah.
Even just expressing your anger with him. He's like, oh my gosh, but you're coming to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he just wants to be wanted like us. I mean, why do you think we have that desire? He put it in us.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Because that was not me.
Yeah, no. That was me. I just want to be wanted.
Yeah.
And I'm sure God feels the same way.
Oh.
So, well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to like, click, share, subscribe, all those good things, and to share this with someone, because I know it will encourage someone. Again, thank you, Shayna, so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.